How do you create a superhero culture in your home service company? My name is Brandon Lazar. I'm an entrepreneur and a Conquer coach. I created, built, and sold a 7-figure window cleaning business, and now I'm developing bonusup.com. Software that motivates, engages, and retains your technicians using the magic of performance pay. My goal is for Bonus Up to pay out $50 million. Join our Facebook group and come along for the ride. In this video, I want to talk about one of the most important KPI metrics to track inside of your home service company. You see, at the end of the day, you sell the proceeds of your technicians' time. So if they're able to go out and do a large amount of work in a short period of time, you're going to have a more profitable business, and ultimately you're going to be able to afford to pay them more. So the KPI metric that I'm talking about is productivity, and it's measured in dollars per hour. So if you're not already doing this, I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's get into it. So in an example, we have a $200 job, we have a $300 job, and we have a $500 job. Now, we also have our yard right here, okay? Throughout the day, the crew is going to go to job A, and then they're going to go to job B, job C, and then drive home, okay? In this example, if we add up job A, B, and C, we're going to have $1,000 worth of invoiceable revenue. And let's say that they spend 10 hours to produce that day's work. Okay. In this example, we would just divide the two and we would get a productivity of $100 per hour. Okay. Now this does assume that we're talking about one technician. If it were the case that we had, say, 2 technicians on this day, then we'd actually have to multiply this by 2 to account for the additional input. So then we wouldn't have 10 hours of work provided, we'd actually have 20 hours. So we'd divide the $1,000 by 20, and we'd actually then have $50 per hour of productivity for a crew of 2. Couple things to realize here. As we drive throughout the day, we're going to consider that as part of the overall equation, okay? We're not gonna look at productivity just on the basis of showing up to the job and then stop the time. And then when they start the second job, we start the time again. We're looking at this on the basis of the time spent or the time we're paying our technicians. So from the time they start at the yard to the time they end their day, we want to account for all of that. Okay. So for that reason, we actually account for driving as being part of direct labor. Regardless whether the crews are on the job doing the work itself or driving between the jobs, we're going to actually look at it the same way. And really the reason for that is for things to go really well inside of a day for your crews, 2 things have to happen. Number 1, we have to quote the work appropriately. It has to be at a price point that makes sense and ultimately lends to this equation so that we can have a high productivity. If we quote our work really low, obviously that's going to affect our dollars per hour. Okay. The second thing that has to happen is we have to go out there and we have to have what's called healthy urgency. Our technicians have to be on their toes and they have to get work done at a brisk pace. If both those things are in line, then we're going to have a very positive dollars per hour of productivity. Before we close up, one really tactical little piece of pro tip for you to take home to your home service business. Look at the time in the morning spent at the yard. Okay. I've been on coaching calls before where it was mentioned kind of in passing that the crews spend 30, 45 minutes, even an hour, I once heard, before they actually get out the door. And that could be time spent drinking coffee, getting the tools together, printing off the work order, you name it, right? But again, without that invoiceable revenue to show for that time spent in the morning, that's going to really have a dragging effect on the entire day's calculation, right? Because in the event that they do take 1 hour across 2 crew members, that's 2 man-hours of time that's spent with really nothing to show for it. So when the day's calculation, that's just not going to be productive and it's going to have a very negative effect on the dollars per hour of productivity. If you're not tracking dollars per hour productivity on an individual technician level, as well as your entire company, I highly recommend you start. Again, at the end of the day, we sell the proceeds of our technicians' time, and it's super important that we're being productive. If we're more productive, then we're going to be more profitable. So if you're using Google Sheets, pen and paper, or even something like Bonus Up, I highly recommend start looking at the dollars per hour of productivity. To close out this video, I wanted to share with you that I could not do what I do without the help of virtual assistants. They are crucial members of the team across all our companies, and that's why I created Ninja VA. Ninja VA is not a one and done recruiting service. It is your complete hiring solution, training system, and management software for virtual assistants. Check us out online.